Hi everybody, welcome to Technovo. My name is Rasmus. For this video, I just want to do a little Q&A, get into some conversation with you guys. These questions are from Instagram, but if I ask enough of them and I get enough of them on different platforms, we can do some more, get some insight, share some stories, have a little chat. Yeah. All right, so Martin H. Fieber asks, okay, what are you cooking with the planets you're recently posting? I've been posting some planets lately. It's a little project where I am exploring how to finally make planets that are reasonably functional with atmospheres and cloud layers and things like that. Obviously, there's a vast amount of tutorials online about how to do it properly. They get a little complicated. And there are amazing tutorials as well about how to do it procedurally. Lots of amazing techniques, and some of them that don't really fit my skill set, what I do. So it's an exploration of trying to get to a point where I think they look good. And of course, as I develop the shaders and whatnot, and as I develop the looks of them, obviously I get a little stack of them and maybe make a pack. Well, we'll see. Shudibeck 12 asks, how to make a spaceship's traffic animation system like in Star Wars movie? Thank you. Good question. I mean, there are so many ways of doing it. You can use, I'm sure you can use geometry nodes. I have no idea how. And you can do it the sort of brute force version of it. I don't think I'm the right guy to ask that question, or to answer that question, because I would probably do it in a stupid method. It's more of a tech art thing, I think. I could do it in many different ways, and I'd be told I'd be wrong. It would be the wrong way to do it. So I don't know, man. Let's see what else we got. DJ Sakina asks, don't you ever tire of spaceships? And if not, why? Well, I mean, obviously yes and no. Yes, in the sense that sometimes, you want to do something else. I actually was talking to some colleagues the other day about coming back into Photoshop and really building worlds and building spaces and things like that. I used to do that quite a bit before diving hardcore into Blender. So yeah, I miss doing other stuff and I want to get back into that, but spaceships will always be a special love. And like lots of other industrial design, the solutions and shapes are really endless. So, I mean, cars, you could say the same, airplanes, of course there are a few rules in terms of aerodynamics and whatnot, engineering, but spaceships offer, a very wide sort of expression within that framework. You can really play with expectations of physics. You can really play of engineering expectations. You can dress the shapes up to feel, gothic and archaic. Even if it's a spaceship, you can do, fantasy, sci-fi, or you can do things that are really, sleek and Star Trek-y and high tech. And so I think it offers, spaceship is almost like a shortcut to a very expressive and very free translation of all these design concepts. I think maybe that's why I keep coming back to them. I would say that, though, that it's also because once you add a bank into 3D space of all your little doodads and whatnot, it gets very easy to reuse them. And then I would say the downside is you get drawn into redoing the same thing because it's easy, because you have this bank build up. And of course, the upside is because you can make it easily, the technical restraints are removed so that your creativity can flow. So it's easy to enter flow with that, with an asset bank like that. So there's a bunch of pros and cons, but this was just some initial thoughts. So if you want to make your own science fiction scenes and you want to skip ahead a little bit, maybe you're a beginner and you're unsure of where to start, or maybe you're a seasoned pro and you want to speed up your workflow, the Big Medium Small Model Shop Greebles Asset Pack is a great start. It's a pack I made in collaboration with the team, and the intent of that is really to make a pack that feels like Lego, but for spaceship nerds, right? And that pack contains 600 plus items, lots of characters, and lots of little tiny bits so you can remix and build your own stuff. It also has a bunch of poses for these characters, and it has a bunch of hero ships as well that are pre-made for you, so that you can get started quickly. So again, as mentioned, whether you're curious or whether you're a pro that want to speed things up, check it out, link in the description. All right, so Den Kühle what language is that? I don't have a clue. Asks, biggest pet peeve with concept art beginners. Can I rephrase that? Any advice for beginner concept artists, burgeoning concept artists? Well, that's a great question, and I think something that might even be helpful for people. So let's dive into that. I remember being hired back at IO back in the days, 2004 or something. I had an internship while studying at the Danish design school, now the Royal Academy, and there I had sort of dabbled in 3D Max and texturing and stuff like that. And for Photoshop, it meant that I was painting these gray box worlds and then bashing textures onto the surfaces to get sort of 3D spaces that felt very 3D art friendly, I guess you could say. And there was this joke going around that I was doing 2D Studio Max, and I'm like, that's pretty correct. And after joining the studio proper, after my education had ended, I found myself hired as a concept artist, but doing 3D assets because, of course, when game production hits a certain scale, it's less about concept art and more about building the actual assets. So for Kane and Lynch, I remember my first task was doing laundry machines on a rooftop in a Cuban level. And I was like, laundry machines? Really? I wanted to build something bigger, something grander. But at the same time, and I don't know, this was before, watching like a zillion self-help videos on YouTube or whatever. So I don't know where this came from, but I'm sure lots of you, if you have insight into the human psyche, or if you have insight into good processes, would probably agree to this, concept that sprung into my head. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to build and texture the most awesome laundry machine in the world, with rust and gunk and, wear and tear and weathering and everything. Of course, keeping the polygons low poly. We did strip modeling back then, from the PS2 days and whatnot. So not a lot to maneuver with, but really fun. But I think, the takeaway really is what hit me right there was, if I could take an assignment that I didn't feel particularly excited about and take it so seriously, then, it's almost like you elevate your approach to take it so seriously. And in doing so, the task becomes honorable again. I know maybe that's an ego word to use, but I think you know what I mean. And I ended up loving that task. And I remember that being quite a big lesson for me in terms of understanding that, even if you do laundry, don't like doing laundry. Filling the washing machine with plates and stacking those plates perfectly. If I'm frustrated enough, I try to take a breath and love that simple task. So I think what I'm getting at is, if you're young, you've got a lot of gusto, you have a lot of go juice, you want to go do the thing, all of that is great. If you at the same time can accept tasks that, where you are solving problems, you're just doing what needs to be done, regardless of whether it feels inspiring and these different things, then you work up an understanding that loving to solve simple problems can be a path, lead the path that you want, and lead to many other things. Of course, you will also understand what you're capable of, yourself in terms of skill, and I'm sure lots of people who the Japanese have traditions for elevating simple tasks, tea and whatnot, to art forms, and there's something to that where the truth is found not in the complexity and the illustriosity. Illustriosity? It's not a word. Of the task, but if you can, imbue the simple task with love for the craft, then it'll take you further than you thought that simple task would take you. So it's a mindset thing. And so my advice for people starting out would be, you have all these plans, you have your 10-year plan, you have all these ambitions, you have all this go juice. Absolutely love it. Awesome. Let's go. At the same time, try and be useful in a way where you love the simple task that you're given, that fits your seniority, that fits your, how fresh you are in the industry and whatnot, and love that task and create that with love. And that approach will make you love the mundane work and make the mundane work great. And those two things together will lead you on a proper path for you. So that's what I got from that little lesson there. And I've seen it in my life and in other people again and again. And of course, I'm still learning this thing. I'm still relearning this particular nugget of truth. But that's what I would say. So take a deep breath and love the simple thing. All right, that's it for today. See you next time.